All right. All right, Mike, Jahoon, you guys are the co-hosts for right now, okay? All right. All right, everyone, we're going to get started. It's 6:37, only two minutes past. So welcome, everyone, and thank you for logging in. We really appreciate all of your time. We know during this hectic pandemic that we're in, everybody's time is very valuable, so we do appreciate that. We understand that it's also a busy week with the PMA having their Fresh Summit, so everybody's on this huge download of content. So we want to make this a very short but fun call today. And today, we're going to start to introduce a direct-to-consumer call around the future of our industry, as well as making an impact in your business. So as we saw COVID hit in March and many local businesses, restaurants, and tourist destinations shut down, food waste and retail trends were through the roofs. But everyone was worried about one thing. I think we can all really attest to that. It was making sure food got to the consumer. So I've spoken to many of our industry leaders that you've seen on the podcast. Some say this is the best it's ever been, and others say that they're tongue-in-cheek hoping for better days. That's crazy to me. We're in the same industry, and some are completely doing fantastic, and some are literally picking up the pieces as they go. So if you don't, think about it like this. If you don't want to hear from me or listen to any of the, or for me at all, listen to the episodes, because the podcast is from growers, packers, shippers, marketers, and many more. So it'll give you a real heart of what the industry is doing. One thing that I have done throughout my career is thrive to create better deals for growers, and now innovating to create change and opportunity for the produce industry. And I've had fun being able to do that. So throughout this call today, we're going to cover a few different items. 1, technology. 2, data and insights. 3, direct-to-consumer spending. And 4, new opportunities through direct-to-consumer model. So I want to introduce our fancy partner. We have Michael Chavez with Flavor Wave LLC. We also have Niels Goldschmidt of Terra Exports LLC. On the call, we have our choice partner, Matt DeBoer with Ag Tools. So we want to give a huge shout out and tell them thank you. And thank you for being here. So we want to talk a little bit more about what Terra Exports does. And Terra Exports is a fancy partner of the Produce Industry Podcast. So let's talk about Terra Exports. They're a fast-paced, entrepreneur, innovative, multinational fresh produce company. They have 8 divisions worldwide. They handle fruits and vegetables across 65 countries. Did you know that Terra Exports was featured in Inc. 5000 3 times? So for fastest growing companies in the USA, Terra Exports starts at the ground level, literally from the growth of the product at the farm all the way through the distribution, all the way to the end users. Exactly what we're talking about, direct to consumer. They take pride in their product arriving fresh, not average, fresh and damage free, working alongside their suppliers and customers that share a common goal. So I would say reach out to Terra Exports. Check them out. They are a huge sponsor and our fancy sponsor of the Produce Industry Podcast. So when you think about it and you join Terra Exports, whether you're a supplier, a customer, or even just a vendor, they have a fresh approach and they're bringing new innovative ways to the produce and supply chain industry. So we really appreciate them sponsoring this call and really sponsoring the Produce Industry Podcast as well. So first off, throughout this call, I explained what we're going to talk about. And realistically, we're going to introduce you to Michael Chavez, who is the president of Flavor Wave LLC, and who's going to present the new technology that Flavor Wave has introduced. Now, hold on. We're not going to all of a sudden show it to you right off the bat. We're going to give you a little sneak preview, and Mike's going to talk to you a little bit about that. So, Mike, you want to take it from here?
Sure. Thank you, Patrick. I want to thank everyone personally for taking the time. I know this 2020 year has been a little hectic, so everyone's time is very valuable, and I want to say thank you to each and every one of you that is attending this call. And like Patrick said, I'm the president of Flavor Wave LLC. 2020 has been a very interesting year, very challenging for a lot of reasons, and we're going to focus in on the produce side of this. The supply chain of produce has been challenged by this virus, from food service numbers being down, a lot of bars, restaurants, and tourism being shut down or taken down to a low percentage of service, it's really been a struggle. You know, retail numbers, I know on my grower packer shipper side have been up with retailers, but my food service numbers are down. So we're trying to figure out how to capture that demand. The demand didn't disappear, it just shifted. So Patrick and myself worked together to try and figure where this demand went. And we saw a lot of businesses sparked out of COVID, produce businesses. So we came up with an idea and a concept that we think is sustainable, not only during COVID but post COVID. So I'm excited to present, our video and give you a broad overlook of what we've come up with our application. So I'll turn it back to Patrick and show him this short video.
Thanks, Mike. I appreciate it. And so what I love about this concept, and not just because I helped with the concept, is that, like Mike said, direct to consumer is what is happening today. And direct to consumer is what we need to focus on in our industry. So let's go ahead and watch the video and to get a real glimpse of what Mike's talking about. So gave you a little bit of what Mike and I have been working on. The video should answer a little bit of the questions, but also probably spark you to have a little bit of questions as well. So Mike, I really appreciate you giving that introduction to the video, but hang tight because you are going to be back on and we are going to show you what this product and what this platform has to offer for the produce industry. I'm excited. I think it's going to be great. I think that we're going to have a great outcome to this call. And so thank you so much, Mike. Let's go ahead and introduce our next guest, who is going to be our first speaker of the night, giving their presentation, talking about data and insights. So Matt DeBoer, he comes from Ag Tools. Now, Matt and I share a pretty fun relationship. Both of us have worked at the same company at 2 different times. So Matt and I share the love of produce procurement and sales with Fortune 500 companies, all the way down to the grower, packer, shipper model. Matt's been working with Ag Tools and helping collect data and insights and helping companies throughout the produce and supply chain industry really build their programs through data, forecasting, insights, planning, and much more. There's much more than what I even am talking about and what Ag Tools has to offer. So Matt, why don't you let your screen come on so we can, and thank you so much for Ag Tools of being a choice partner of the Produce Industry Podcast as well. We really appreciate that.
Good. Yeah, we appreciate what it is that you're doing in the industry with the podcast. I think it's much needed. You know, it's an industry that needs a little rejuvenation and excitement behind it, and you're definitely adding to that. Yeah, and thanks again for the invite tonight and to speak, and to everybody that came back. A little bit about Ag Tools. We are a new company. However, we've been in the works for many years, and we talk about the produce industry specifically And we kind of talk about, and you see the coffee cup there, it reminds me, we talk about starting your day differently and starting it kind of the egg tool way. And so we got coffee there, but however you start it, with water, juice, whiskey, whatever it may be, we talk about, and you can start into the slides if you want, Patrick. And we talk about the supply chain. And the thing with the supply chain, as everybody knows, the thing gets nicked along the way or missed or out of whack, it impacts the entire supply chain. The common denominator in all of this stuff is the fact that the thing that drives the headache of the industry is a lack of visibility. And so that's really where Egg Tools comes into play, and what we're looking to do, and how we're looking to impact the industry. This company was formed after years of research and study, and our CEO, Martha Montoya, who has a deep background in the agricultural field and business, and has been part of this industry for decades, basically had a concept, an idea, and a thought, and went to multiple universities in California, Stanford, UC Davis, and UC Irvine, and did a lot of research on how we could access this data and then present it in a visual way by utilizing the data that's out there, but then also utilizing data scientists that we have. And this is not just data scientists, we have agricultural data scientists, because as you well know, this industry is extremely unique. And so by utilizing people that understand crops and understand what the business is all about, it helps us gather the right data. So we gather the data, we clean the data, we secure the data, and then we present it, and you can move to the next slide. Yeah, so, we believe in visualizing the solution. And, basically at the push of a button or the click of a mouse, you can see a few hours normally to basically what we're looking at for people from the farmer to the shipper to the retailer, really along the supply chain, to see what plan a little bit better. This industry has always been a reactionary business. It's something that has always been based on gut feel and not so much data, and it's been successful. However, if we start changing that equation, which is what Egg Tools is looking to do, and provide a little bit more visibility along the supply chain through data, we can make more informed decisions. We deliver this information in multiple formats, be it just a report, monitors, it can be on your phone, desktop, what have you. And the nice thing about it is we are a very agile, flexible company. So everything that we do is done in-house. We have the capability to customize the data. So it's not a program that is something that we give you the software and everybody must work within these parameters. It's something that is customizable to your business. And that's rare in this industry. The one thing that we all share in common is data. Data impacts everybody along the supply chain. And so that we're really excited about, and Pat showing us the opportunity to show and to the industry. And we're looking for the right partners moving forward that have the same beliefs in terms of data and visibility and wanting to move forward as an industry in terms of technology. So thanks again.
Thank you, Matt, and thank you to Ag Tools. So, and really, just to recap, Ag Tools is a dashboard platform for agribusiness operators. Think about it, from farmers to distributors to marketers, even retailers. And I know Matt can attest to that. So these are a lot of different parameters, data, and insights that can be used. They collect data from over 50 different sites with over 500 different commodities, 100 million worldwide data records throughout the intuitive dashboard. I mean, I've been using Ag Tools since we have started this relationship, and I'm starting to understand how it can impact your business. One thing that I've told Ag Tools and anybody who's going to work with data and data insights, right, Matt, is that it's something new, but it's something that's going to help and have an ROI for your business. You have to just spend some time doing it. And that's what I'm doing. I'm learning how to use the tool. And now when I get on, I know where to go to find out my market updates in the East Coast or in Miami. I can figure out what imports are doing, what commodities are bringing heavy this week. It definitely can help impact your business, especially if you're carrying multiple commodities. So Matt, again, thank you so much. And we appreciate your partnership and what Martha's doing as well for the industry.
Sure. Thanks, Patrick.
All right. So next, we are moving on. We are going to talk to the people that brought you our technology. And it might be something that we've seen on our everyday lives and in our phones that we have, right? But this is something the produce industry has not seen. So we're going to have Purav Gelhat on the phone or on the line. He's already here. He's the founder and on the board of directors of Metellio. We also have Paul Shanek on the line, who is their senior executive consultant. Purv's going to give a little bit of more of the conversation and chat through the presentation. But founded in 2012, Metellio is a software engineering studio for startups, entrepreneurs, large enterprises, and people who have ideas awaiting digital partnerships. And you're probably thinking, what does that mean, right? I mean, here's the funny thing. If I can talk to Mike right now, just between him and I 3-4 months ago might have said, what does that mean? We might not have known what does some of these comments or what do these phrases mean, because we were learning as well. So I got introduced through Metellio through a networking event. One of the last networking events I went to was in Orlando, and it was Podfest Multimedia hosted by Chris Kermitzos. And from there, I went to another networking event that connected myself with a gentleman who worked with Metellio. And within a week or two, next thing you know, I met Metellio. I met Purv. I met Paul, all done virtually. And we figured out how they could help us with our business. We didn't come to them with the full solution. We came to them with a problem, and they brought us a solution. So we're going to go ahead and hear from Purv. So Purv, let's go ahead and bring you on screen.
Thank you, Patrick, very much. And thank you, everyone, for joining. It's a pleasure to be here. As Patrick said, my name is Apurv. I'm one of the founders of Metellio. And also with me on call is Paul Shanek. He's our senior executive consultant. And we are a software engineering services company. And what that really means is we take problem statements and turn them hopefully into software products and services, and something that can help you achieve your goals from a business model perspective. If you could go to the next slide, please. I'm personally very excited and a big believer in the DTC model, the direct-to-consumer model, and the partnership with Patrick and Michael since we started in around June timeframe has been a very, very good partnership so far, and we have built something really, really a product that can have a huge impact in the marketplace. From the early days of the conversation, we were focused on the customer experience. The DTC model for the produce vertical is more attractive than ever before, where everybody's staying in and trying to order things and trying to get things delivered. You can go to the next one, please. From a technology company perspective, what we do is, and there's a little bit of irony in this, that we work hard to make the technology disappear. Our goal is not to flash complicated technology in front of people, but rather it is to take the technology out and make the task for the end consumer, at least in the consumer vertical, as simple as possible. We want the consumer to stay in the app for as little time as possible, get to what they want, what they need to get to in the shortest period of time, and place the order and go out. So that's the objective that we have in mind, especially when it comes to consumer solutions and consumer applications. That's what we are trying to achieve here. But as everybody says, simple is the hardest thing to do. So we're trying to do something extremely simple here, but turns out that that is pretty hard to do. Next, please. From a process perspective, doing software development is a very, very interactive process. You need to accomplish a level of simplification, for which you need to go as deep as possible to understand the vertical, to understand the business, to understand the depth and the breadth and complexities and uniqueness about that particular business. The process gives us the ability to, this interactive process gives us ability to collect feedback and adapt during the building process, rather than do all at the end. So we do run development in 2-week cycles so that we are able to show incremental progress and collect feedback at every milestone, rather than build everything and then later realize that what we have built does not quite apply. Next, please. So what is unique about us is, this is a question that we get asked a lot. And so instead of waiting for people to ask us this question, we have decided to bring it up ourselves. We have over the years developed a hybrid delivery model in which we try to balance the quality and the time to market for technology products. When you look at technology products, it can get very expensive very quickly, but then the goal, and it can take a significant amount of time. But the goal for every entrepreneur out there is to do it in as high quality a manner as possible and get it to market as quickly as possible. And to achieve this, what we've done is under the hybrid development model, we have started to do solution architecting, design, and build program teams here in the US locally. And then we have 2 labs that we own and operate ourselves based in India with about roughly 200 engineers. So that hybrid approach really helps us balance the quality, the cost, and the time to market aspects of a project. Next, please. When you look at products, especially in the consumer vertical today, and this might sound weird coming from again technologists, is most often than not, technology is not the bottleneck. For consumer solutions, and especially for DTC type models, you have to draw the balance between pieces to integrate with and leverage existing solutions versus picking the right pieces to build. Really, the idea is to figure out what exists out there, and then figure out a way how to make it all work together, rather than go out and build every single piece. And a good example of it is when you're looking at DTC models, something that we ran into with Patrick and Michael, the delivery drivers, right? You want to make sure that you do background checks on them. Now, you could go out and build an entire system to do background checks, or you could basically integrate with a third-party provider who is an expert in doing background checks on delivery drivers. So we chose to do that and integrate with our solution rather than build our own. So integration is key in these types of projects and products. Next, please. From a journey perspective, it's really important to listen, capture, validate, release, and iterate. So these are kind of the goals that we go with. And again, I'll repeat it. It's listen, capture, validate, release, and iterate. To do this, you need a number of subject matter experts who then become directly responsible individuals for that piece of the puzzle. So for us, as an example, Michael and Patrick are the directly responsible individuals who have intimate knowledge of the wholesaling process. So we rely on them to guide us on the process and how that industry works, and what are the challenges of that space and that vertical, and what are the wholesalers looking for. And that then helps us kind of take a step back and design the right technological solution for it, rather than us, without having the industry experience, going out and designing something that might probably not work in the field when it comes to implementation. Next, please. Again, MVP here is we're not talking about LeBron James here. So different kind of MVP. It stands for minimum viable product. Whenever launching a tech-enabled business, one thing to keep in mind is that it is an evolving and iterative process, as I mentioned earlier. And that iterative nature of the product is something that we really need to keep in mind all along. You're not trying to build everything in one go and then push it out in the market. You're going to iterate on it. You're going to get user feedback and improve on it. So think deeply about what is needed from kind of a bare minimum perspective for you to launch the product. And that takes a lot, where you might think you need a lot, but just from a realistic perspective and the ability to iterate and get feedback, the MVP needs to be as lean and mean as possible. Next, please. There are a couple of gotchas in this kind of rosy picture of developing software. One of the big misconceptions in the vertical is that you build an app and you throw it in the App Store, whether it be in the iOS world or in the Android world on the Play Store, and people will organically find it and download it. That is simply not true. There are millions of apps out there, and it's just impossible to get discovered organically without actually doing anything. So it is very, very important to think about customer acquisition strategy from the get-go. And there are industry data out there which will tell you that it costs as much as $3 per download for a customer acquisition for a free app that is, doing very little to nothing, like a calculator or a free game. So it's literally giving you something for free, and that costs the developer about $3 per download. So that's a pretty hefty price tag, and we need to be pretty aware of that. That's good. We can go to market. Building the solution. So kind of continuing on that same path. So how do you figure out what the go-to-market strategy is, and how you should get discovered? And for that, you kind of have to set the goals for yourself. Building a solution or an app is roughly quarter of the total effort that is needed to launch. Rest of the magic and work is in developing an effective go-to-market strategy. This can be expensive and a long road. First step in this journey is to figure out the metric of success and build a strategy around the goal rather than trying to do everything. So your success criteria might be that you are after getting as many orders as possible, but sometimes your success criteria might be, I want just people to download the app. I don't care whether they're ordering it or not. Or I want users who come into the app at least to spend 2 minutes on the app before they quit it, right? So setting up these success metric becomes very important, because that's what is going to determine your go-to-market strategy and your customer acquisition strategy. Next, please. Now that you have a goal, next step is to find the right avenue and audience to promote it to. Options here are plentiful, everything from social media marketing to figuring out the virality factor to reaching out to influencers, to paid marketing, and much more. Budget plays a huge role here, so it is very important to find and think through the right combination of elements to utilize. And this ties back into kind of the go-to-market strategy and what your success criteria is, what you're trying to achieve. Because spending endlessly on paid campaigns or social media marketing doesn't quite help unless you know what is it that you're trying to measure against and what you're trying to measure your success against. Analytics is key, and I think we learned this a little bit earlier from Matt. Analytics is key, like any business software in the software world. If you don't get good data on everything from engagement to downloads to crashes that people are having for the app to abandoned carts, you will not be able to set goals for improvement and achieve them. And this is where experience of developing a ton of software comes in. We help highlight metrics that you need to monitor on a regular basis. So this becomes pretty important from being able to iterate and iterate productively. So unless you know enough about the customers and enough about the solution that you have put out in the market as an MVP, you will not be able to iterate in a productive manner. Next, please. In this case, you really have to hope for the best, but plan for the worst. You have to balance between building an MVP and at the same time making it scalable so that you can continue to grow it and serve your customers well. Public cloud offerings from Amazon, Microsoft, Google, and others are a great option from an accessibility point of view, with some inbuilt tool sets for everything from data storage to automation to basic artificial intelligence, machine learning functions. These offerings can truly help build a robust and scalable solution quickly. And this also again ties back into the integration aspect that I talked about earlier, right? You're not going out and setting up your own server farm and doing those things. Those days are gone. That's a very expensive affair. Utilize what's out there, and some of the scalability tools, especially from cloud providers like Amazon, Microsoft, and Google, come in really handy for scale. Be omnipresent. The analytics part that I talked about, how important it is, but a kind of a stark contrast of that is numbers are really, really important, but don't forget the trial and error piece of the puzzle. But what is working and not working, analytics will tell you. So it's good to be on as many platforms as relevant, because each platform helps achieve a different objective. Think about a user journey from a Flavor Wave app perspective. Somebody might hear about the Flavor Wave app on during a work call while they're on their computer, and then over the weekend they might try to get to it from a mobile browser, until later when they're convinced of what Flavor Wave is offering, and decide to download the app to finally place the order. Each stage here helps with a different piece of the transaction and getting the conversion to sale. So being on different platforms and being on as many platforms as possible or as relevant is important. Of course, you can't be everywhere, but it is important to diversify and be as many places as possible from a consumer solution and consumer application perspective. We are certainly living in a new world and coming to accept it as the new normal. This is forcing behavioral changes with significant positive impact on direct-to-consumer trends. Whenever it is about improved convenience, these behavioral changes tend to stick for the long haul. Look at Uber, Lyft. These Uber or a Lyft ride today, in most cases, is at or close to at least at parity or close to price parity with a cab ride. But based on convenience and behavioral change, most people still choose Uber or Lyft over a regular cab. So that's a behavioral change that has happened amongst people over time. And so it's a great time because of this new normal. People are rethinking their habits and rethinking their kind of what they would do on a day-to-day basis. So it's a great time to kind of achieve that behavioral change and make a shift in the market. And at last, I'd like to point out some industry examples, and it's building a solution and putting it out there and hoping for it to succeed and working hard to make it succeed is not a pie in the sky kind of goal. It is very much achievable. MVP stage of a tech-enabled business can become a household name, and it has happened multiple times in the past. Uber, DoorDash, Amazon, Postmates, and many more started just like this. Building an MVP and iterating on it is important, and that's what we need to keep in mind if you are considering building a solution that is at least in the consumer app vertical. Instacart first started in 2012, and it took them 7 years to fine tune the offering and get to where they are today. So it's not something where you're bound to achieve an overnight success or failure. It is sometimes a very gradual success, and it takes time to build it. And there are examples of all kinds in this business. We as software developers, we focus on, and we have seen this happen both in consumer vertical as well as enterprise software technologies. And I'm again, thankful for the opportunity, Michael and Patrick, for giving us the opportunity to talk on this forum. And Paul and I would be happy to follow up and answer any questions. Please feel free to reach out. And thank you again.
And we appreciate the partnership. Again, networking, right? I mean, and that's kind of what's happening in today's, I hate saying the new normal, but that is what's happening today. We're meeting a lot of more people online. We're meeting people that we never thought we'd come into communication with before. And I think that's what's so valuable about really the change, right? And those habits, because even our next speaker, who's going to talk a little bit more on data and analytics directly with the consumer, this is a brand new company that Jahoon Kim, who is the general manager of Q Express, started this company from a senior project in college. And when I mean the company, the US version of this company. So it was really interesting to hear about what Jahoon was doing and looking at all the changes that was happening across seas, overseas, right? Looking at what was happening with other technology platforms that Apurv mentioned in his presentation. And we thought to ourselves, what can we do to help our industry? Michael and I had many phone calls and we're like, dude, what are we missing here? Why are we not doing this? How come we're not seeing this growth? Here, boom. I mean, literally, it was a conversation sometimes about absolutely nothing. And then that's when it really happened. So we're going to talk to Jahoon Kim. So Q Express is an international logistics provider, okay? They're specialized in e-commerce. They are in the US and Southeast Asia focus, okay? Their sister company is Q10, the Southeast Asia e-commerce platform, who actually competes with companies like Amazon and Alibaba, some of the two largest e-commerce platforms in the world. So Jahoon, go ahead and show yourself, sir, and let's talk a little bit about Q Express and what you've done in the last couple of years.
Well, thank you, Patrick and Michael, and thank you for having me, guys. Okay, so what I've been doing for the past couple of years, it actually started out with an MBA project at Fresno State, and I was always had an interest for 3 years now in e-commerce and how it works, and I was exploring different opportunities, and I ended up doing a MBA project on how this company, Q10.com and Q Express, would do if they came to the United States and started their operations. So that's what I've been doing for the past year. So just getting it started over here. And they focus heavily on the e-commerce and the D2C model, which is growing. And I wanted to share some insights globally and the US, and I'll actually benchmark Singapore, since Q10, Q Express, that's where they're headquartered and that's where they're performing well out of. So let's just jump on into the presentation. The first slide pretty much shows the annual digital growth in the whole world. So we're basing the total population of 7.7 billion in 2019. We have noticed from 2018 to 2019, 1.1% increase, 84 million people were added to the world. I'm sure there was a lot more added, and obviously some died off. So that's the balance you see, 84 million. And internet users, 9.1% increase, 367 million users have been added to the internet users of the globe. So what that means is that, let me give you an idea what those numbers mean. In the United States, on average, like this past year, we have spent anywhere between $1,500 to $2,000 per person in the United States. Now, what that translates into is, if you look at just 7 million, out of the 367 million people, if 7 million people used $2,000 for the year of 2019, that's already $14 billion. So you can see the potential of the increases on the digital usage. It doesn't have to be the whole population that starts using e-commerce, but it can be just a portion, and it makes that big of a difference globally. You can look at the active social media users, where they get all the news. That's why the advertising market has made such a big turn on using social media over the traditional media options. Now, let's go on to the next slide, which will give you some better numbers on the digital penetration of the world. So in the world today, only 57% of the population use the internet. And within that, only 3.2, which is 42%, use mobile. So with the D2C model, the mobile social media users, the unique mobile users is what's important, and how many people use the social media through those devices to reach and to purchase. So this kind of gives you the potential. So let me give you a comparison where US stands and where some of the leaders of the world stand in the penetration of internet users. So globally, in internet, you go back, Patrick, globally, internet users are 4.3, and it's only 57% penetration. In the United States, our numbers sit at around 70, 80%. And then in Korea, as well as in Singapore, they reach over 90% internet user penetration. Now, moving on to the different trends of the retail industry in the globe. You want to go to the next slide, Patrick? This slide shows the actual changes in retail and how it's changing. It tells how many actual brick and mortar stores are opening, which is the black line, from 2013 and on, and the cumulative closings is in the red. As you can see, the cumulative openings cumulative closings have surpassed the cumulative openings. Therefore, there's a lot less, the amount of brick and mortar stores are decreasing. And as you can see from 2017, decreasing exponentially year over year. Now let's head on over to the next slide, which gives us, this is data from USDA's agricultural census done in 2015. These are all the numbers in 2015 where the farms sold direct to consumer. Now, with that said, the sale that occurred online is only 6% of the numbers that's shown. So that gives you an idea of how much potential and how much more we can expect. And this, by the way, this is only 2015 numbers, and there's going to be a lot, those numbers will be a lot higher today. Now, if you move on to the next slide, this gives you the projection of the direct to consumer e-commerce sales, not the whole e-commerce sales, but just to direct to consumer portion, just like Uber Eats, all these different platforms where they deliver directly to consumer. And that's the increase year over year from 2017. And the 2020 and 2021, those are projection numbers. I know in 2020, because of the COVID-19, we blew that projection out of the water already. It should be already reaching about 19 billion. So let me give you guys an idea where the direct-to-consumer stands in e-commerce. The direct-to-consumer e-commerce sales that delivers directly to the consumer using a vehicle or any type of matter like that, other than like the postal deliveries, UPS, FedEx. So let me give you a comparison, what percentage that entails. So it's 18 billion projected this year, and we already hit that target. And this last year, in the US alone, there has been 538 billion in e-commerce sales. So that gives you an idea of how much potential the direct-to-consumer option has. Now, moving on to the next slide, I want to show everybody that's here today a little insight on what a little tiny city of Singapore has done and where they stand. They have a population of 7.7 million people, and they spend about $1,000 per person, per person. So they total about 7.9 billion US dollars per year in the e-commerce. So that gives you an idea. A tiny little city state of Singapore creates so much e-commerce sales. The reason is, like I said before, the internet usage penetration is above 90%, and also everything gets imported. Everything gets imported from overseas. So therefore, they have to purchase. They don't have much options other than the internet and the brick and mortar stores. And obviously, the amount of brick and mortar stores is decreasing, even in Singapore, because people are not wanting to go out if they can get it from home. And most of the time what's happening when I visited over there, visiting the headquarters, they were literally ordering as they're headed home via their mobile phone. And by the time they arrived at home, it was being delivered. So that gives you an idea. And the percentage of food, and it has a category of food and personal care, which shows 647 million, which is a little less than 10%. And the food tends to be about 67%, 60 to 70% of that number. So hopefully this gives everybody an insight of what we're dealing with and what we're up against and what kind of potential we have up ahead. And actually, this is something that Q10 and Q Express has been working on and being prepared once it's ready. Q Express and Q10 specialize everything that's done internationally, cross-border transportation. That's why we actually ship a lot of the Amazon and eBay and all these other shipments as well. But we are waiting for the time for produce and fresh foods being able to be delivered to countries like Singapore, Korea, Japan, because once that gets cleared, we are ready to go as soon as the regulations are already set in place. And it's actually changing already. I've been working with the Department of Commerce at export.gov. They've been promoting a lot of the e-commerce items, and they've approached me for insights on how we can approach this for the produce industry and our fresh food industry. And right now, there's a couple companies that's doing it even internationally by doing it by the pallet. And once they have a specific amount of order, such as like group buy and social media, minimum quantity buys, where they can actually do a full pallet or a full load of produce to be packed, and with the phytosanitary certificates that things that's involved in that aspect for tariffs and customs, that's what they're preparing for. And I think this new D2C model that we're starting here in the United States will go very hand in hand together when it comes to reaching new customers and reaching innovative ways to disrupt the e-commerce industry.
All right. Thanks, Jahoon. Appreciate it. And what's great to hear about another country and what they're doing is that a lot of these countries, such as Singapore, are trying to figure out ways to come to America and actually ship American products overseas. This includes produce. We, as a nation, as a country, we export produce all over the globe, okay? So countries like Singapore are coming and building companies here and then trying to get American-based products. Like Jahoon said, a lot of these products right now, or all of them right now, within Q10 are not produce, right? They're all other consumer goods, vitamins, from antibacterial creams and hand sanitizer and things like that we all know and really probably use, right? We all use these things. So Jahoon, I do thank you for coming on today and giving your expertise in this field, and really appreciate your friendship over the last few years. And really appreciate what you're doing with Q Express and Q10 right there in Huntington Beach, California.
Thank you, Patrick.
All right, so everyone, we're finally here. We're a little ahead of schedule, which I love. And I think a lot of our guests are happy too, because they're done. The sweat is off their back, all right? They're ready to move on. They're ready to see what we have in store. So last, we're gonna talk with Michael Chavez and myself. So as the head innovator of this project, I'm going to start and tell you a little bit about Flavor Wave. And as the president, I'm going to let Michael welcome and talk about how this program is going to work. And we're really excited. Michael and I have been working on this, like I said, just since June. But we had so many ideas and thoughts before this. Years ago, even when Jahoon started Q Express, we even thought about what we would do in technology and how we would incorporate produce. And really, we're just excited that we're able to do this today. So thank you again for coming, and let's talk about what Flavor Wave has to offer. Flavor Wave LLC was started in 2019 with the intent for the name. It was the brand. It was to be bigger than myself and Michael. We thought about what we wanted to start and where we wanted to be. Buying and selling produce, right, is what we all did, right? Creating labels, which we do, we have a Flavor Wave branded label in citrus that's happened for many years before this actual company. We started importing fruit. We started exporting citrus. We did everything a normal startup produce company would do. And then we even thought about doing some occasional marketing and thought, will that build an ROI? We weren't sure. So realistically, what we did was we brought technology into our business and introduced a new platform that's going to help wholesalers, going to bring new customers, and that's going to bring new jobs within the produce and supply chain industry. So Mike, I want to kick it off to you so you can start this presentation and release Flavor Wave Fresh to the produce industry.
Thank you, Patrick. Exciting stuff. I want to thank all our speakers. You know, we visited on data analytics, definitely part of what has driven us to create this app, along with our produce knowledge of the produce supply chain. So excited to present this and, you know, really go through the meat and potatoes of what this app encompasses. You know, clearly COVID was kind of the spark that started this idea. We saw demand, you know, diverted, so we came up with a way. You know, we hooked up with Metellio, and it's interesting to bring in a tech company and be having those conversations when you know, my background was a simple grower, packer, shipper, spent time on a farm in packing houses. You know, what do I know about technology other than, you know, picking my phone up and texting my friends or, you know, ordering from Amazon? So it was new space for us, and it's been fun. It's been a very fun ride, and we're excited to share more about where we are on this direct-to-consumer service that we're offering through this app. You know, we are two produce guys, and I think that is a big thing to highlight within this creation of this app is we understand the supply chain. We collectively have, you know, experience and produce knowledge, and we're not handing this off to someone else. We're doing it ourselves within our industry, and we're proud to bring this to the industry and be part of this tech space / produce space, which sounds interesting to say because it really doesn't, not that it doesn't exist, but it's definitely new, uncharted water. So, you know, we want to present exactly what the Flavor Wave app will encompass. We'll go through real quick here how it works. Very simple. That's the one of the things that I remember from the college years was keep it simple. So we'll start with step number one. You know, as you can see on your screen on the app, it takes less than a couple minutes to sign up and place your orders. So that's step one, is downloading the app, creating your profile, and moving forward to step two, you know, confirmation that you've downloaded the app. Browse our menu. We're opening with a very simple ABC menu. We're going to offer a fruit box, a veggie box, and a combination box of fruit and veggies. Step number two, you place the order. The order then is transferred to an iPad at the wholesale fulfillment center. And at the same time, there's a delivery driver that's notified within our app. These are our independent drivers that are going to be on our application platform. Step four shows our driver being alerted of the order receipt, and the driver is dispatched to the wholesale center where the order is fulfilled. Step five is the box being picked up and being driven to the consumer's destination. During the time and duration of the delivery, you're able to see the driver, just like you'd see, you know, some of the rideshare services that many of us have used. And step six is fulfillment of the order, you know, delivery of the box to the customer's destination. So very simple stuff. You know, it looks very simple on the surface, but there's a lot that goes into this, as with any produce venture. So this is technology and produce in real life and real time, right at your fingertips.
All right, so I appreciate that, Mike. And like I said, it's very simple on how it works. And we have a couple more explainer videos that we are going to release over the next couple weeks. So join our Flavor Wave Fresh YouTube channel to get some of those updates as well. We're going to post those on LinkedIn. We have a LinkedIn page, Flavor Wave Fresh, and you can also find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Flavor Wave Fresh as well. So that's how we're going to be communicating a lot of these efforts as well. As the Perv said, If you got to know a social media strategy, you can't just go into it blasting things. So we are going to be releasing content to you every single week as we build up to the app being able to download on your phone. And that's what's so cool, is that it's easy as 1, 2, 3. And I mean it, because realistically, when I had this thought process of what can we do, I called Mike, and Mike's like, what are we going to do? I go, what are you doing right now? And he goes, I'm in and out. And I said, that's a great idea. We should make this as easy as ABC 1, 2, 3, Mike, just like In-N-Out's menu. And it was funny because the concept of something so small brought us to where we are today, right? You know, writing down on a napkin of plans could turn into something so amazing, right? And we thought about how we can make it as easy as 1, 2, 3, and that's what we're doing. So this chart shows households that bought at least some fruits and veggies directly from farmers had higher overall expenditures. So I'm not going to go completely over all this data because this is going to be a recording. We want you to watch this and look at it. But total fruits and total vegetables, and this study was done by the USDA in 2018. This is where this data comes from. And they did a direct-to-consumer model that shows that by chance, if you have households that bought fruits and vegetables directly from farmers, the average spending goes up almost $12 per household. These studies were done on the blue collars and the poverty-stricken neighborhoods, the same to where the Farmers to Families box programs are going. Fresh products came in second, and processed products came in third. And Mike and I really started to understand what we needed to do with this app. We needed to help people get food at a reasonable cost. We saw many apps out there. Heck, Mike and I sell citrus every day, and we've never seen a box of citrus go for $75 a box like on some of these apps. We've never seen that before. If we did, Mike and I would have more than what we have today. Bringing $70 a box on every piece of citrus box would be crazy. So these are some of the things that we saw and said, how can we do a benefit for the grower, right? A benefit for the wholesaler, because that's what's coming next, wholesaler. We're going to talk about you in a second. And how can we benefit the overall industry and creating more drivers and more people and getting those big box trucks off the road? Because that's what we really want to do. Lower emissions and create a safer delivery. Fresh, fast, and safe. So what's next? Households that brought at least some fruits and vegetables directly from farmers have higher incomes and tend to express certain attitudes. Is that true? Behaviors for food and nutrition. So these percentages show through the poverty-stricken, through college-educated, and through seasonable and dietary trends. They show if you prepare your food and if you're not too busy, how much you spend on getting fresh fruits and vegetables. And then we thought about it even more and said, we have to figure out a way to directly communicate with the consumer to help our industry. We're not trying to bypass anybody. We're trying to preserve that people get the freshest fruits and vegetables that they deserve. So we have a couple more stats on households' predicted fruit and vegetable expenditures again. As you can see, there's a mean, a lower, and an upper bound. These are some things I'd like you to take a look at. Look at some of the results, the number of weeks in the households, how they shop, how they buy in a DTC outlet versus if they didn't buy. Look at the annual expenditures of what they buy in produce. And these are the things that we've looked at over the last few months, but we've looked at our entire career. We've looked at it through IRI data, through the retail-driven networks. We've seen the data collected and given to us by large corporations that show us what everybody's doing in the industry. So we studied that some more and said, how can we make this better? And the USDA started the Farmers to Families Box program. And people said, this program came out of the whim. They've been studying direct-to-consumer for more than 2.5, 3 years, probably longer than that. So what happened? We started figuring it out. We need to get direct-to-consumer. The box program ends October 30th, and we need to figure out a way that if it goes through again, how can we deliver directly to consumers? How can we deliver beyond that and help wholesalers deliver with a platform to represent themselves in a local community? So that's what we started to do. So again, we have more things of shoppers favor fresh when extra money is available. They buy more meat and chicken first, right? We get our protein in. That's what we do. We'll go and get some extra chicken, some steaks. some pork maybe, I'm not sure. But buy fresh fruits and vegetables was second. This comes from the IRI data they presented during United Fresh, and this was great data that they presented saying that it is so important that everybody buys more fruits and vegetables, and that the Farmers to Families program has really shown that people are getting the best fruits and vegetables that they've ever seen in their lives. So take a look at some of these stats and see where you are compared to buying snacks, prescriptions, even more beauty and healthcare. Fresh produce is number 2. That's our industry. I'm proud to say that. All right, Mike, let's talk about this wholesaler, man.
Wholesalers. I'm going to talk as directly to you as I can. I'm on the grower, packer, shipper side. I deal with the sales desk. So, I've dealt with every major city, various wholesalers. How does this application apply to you? Spoke to a lot of wholesalers during COVID, during this whole pandemic, what it's done to their business. And I was extremely surprised at some of the numbers, regionally, and it just depends regionally who you're talking to and what area they're in, which city they're in. Some wholesalers are 90 to 95% food service oriented as far as their business structure. So with restaurants, bars, tourism, everything closed, that is a substantial hit to their numbers, to their revenue, to their entirety of their business. This app comes into play with you guys directly 100%. The retail demand that I've seen, I know on my sales side with retail has been 250% increases from March, April, and May with various partners that we have in service. Food service business is gone. This app gives you a way to tap in to that demand. That is the home cooking demand. All of us are home, we're grabbing groceries. For you directly fulfilling these boxes, offering up your space for drivers to pull up, fulfill these boxes, deliver them to the consumer, gives you an absolute new vertical of demand to fulfill. I cannot say it enough where I really see this as a post-COVID sustainable option to service the consumer. Direct to consumer is the most intimate way to get after an individual consumer. So I think this is very exciting, on the wholesaler side. It gives you a new vertical. It allows us to offer a product at a price point that is well below the retail markups. So this is a very, very big deal for the wholesaler side of this business. And I cannot say it enough that this can directly affect your business and create a new vertical for demand, for the wholesaler side. So I'm very excited to announce that with wholesale partners who can work as fulfillment centers for the Flavor Wave application.
And what's great about this is we have developed not only just one, but 3 applications. So wholesalers, if you're listening right now, you're not only going to get an iPad when you sign up with us. I mean, there's no systems or structures that we have to go and install. You get an Apple device that's going to be shipped to your facility with pre-programmed apps already on, ready for you to start accepting orders. And what's great about this app is it's going to focus on you. So it's not just going to focus on Flavor Wave. Of course, we need them to download the app to get the sales, but this is going to focus on you in your community. So that's app number 1, everybody, a wholesaler app for the produce industry. That's powerful.
Wholesale features. So on this slide, sorry, I'm typing again to answer some more chat. On the wholesale feature side, we've built this app around being as easy as possible within a wholesale facility. We're going to show up. We're going to give you an app. We're going to go through a 101. We're going to do in-person training with your staff that is going to take over fulfillment of these produce boxes. So when the customer orders off the app, you have an iPad there. You can pull it up. What's coming in, and you can fulfill the orders, and the orders will drop into a queue, and then you will hand those orders off to a driver. The training on this is very simple on the beginnings of this app because we're going with the simple ABC menu. And I know one of the questions in the chat was, does the customer have the ability to customize their boxes? That's going to be a later phase of this app where if you need 2 tomatoes, 3 onions, 5 potatoes, and a head of lettuce, you will have that ability to build a custom box. So that's later in the app features that will come down the pipe, and once we build up our wholesale network, and their capabilities, and really do some market segmentation of what the demand is for, regional wholesale fulfillment, that would be a great asset, I think, for the customer. That's going to really drive a lot of traffic towards downloading this app and utilizing this technology.
Yeah, for sure. And you get to have daily downloads, statistics reports. And you know what's great about this is you get paid in less than 14 days through our Stripe payment program. So that's what's really fantastic. No more pack of terms. No more trying to figure out when you're going to get paid. This is on demand, and we're going to help grow this business and manage daily reports and manage all these merchant accounts through this application. And that's what's so cool. So the next thing, which is really cool, is that Michael touched on this earlier, and which was we are going to have our own drivers. So there's a few other apps out there. Go ahead, look them up. I really want you to, because you're going to see the cost difference, and you're going to see the product difference, and you're going to see the functions difference. Let me tell you, because with this delivery driver service, you can literally, as easy as 1, 2, 3, download our Flavor Wave Driver app. That's right, app number 2, the Flavor Wave Driver app. So a lot of wholesalers, a lot of people have really laid off employees during this time. Some say it's the best they've ever been, and some say they're tongue-in-cheek. So this is a way, too, that we can bring jobs to our industry, meaning that if you are a wholesaler and you had to furlough some employees, have them download the app and talk about with them that they could be a driver. Because the more boxes that you start packing, the better your facility is going to be to bring on more employees. So it's a twofold. But think about it. This driver can download the app. He can go to his dashboard, see if there's any orders to be picked up in the area. He's going to receive order notifications from the nearest wholesaler centers. He's going to deliver Flavor Wave boxes. Now, they're going to have your name on them, wholesalers. We're just going to have a code on there that says download the app with a QR code, because we want the community to know that you are there for them. We're just helping deliver it that last mile, and that's what we're here to do. Very swift and easy setup and payment process, and we're giving away a few free masks. Watch, we're going to have Flavor Wave masks with some of our drivers, and that's what we're excited about. We have in-app, in-technology, and in-app, in. Like that? I made that up just now, everyone. But Google Mapping inside of this technology for the delivery driver. You're going to be able to go in and mark your produce every step of the way. We're going to have traceability, everyone, literally from farm to fork, all the way. We are going to be able to manage the streets that it goes on and get the box trucks off the street. And that's what we love about it. So what else can we talk about after number 2? What does it have to be? There's a wholesaler app. There's a delivery app. That's right. Mike, take it from here.
Customer app. I know we went through the sequence of events. Once you download the app, I'm a millennial. I know iGens, we want everything, at our fingertips really quickly. I know like today is, I think, the last day of Prime Days. Waiting to get completed with this call, and then I got to go on Amazon and do some shopping on my phone. So we want everything fast, fresh, and safe. Bottom line, I think our app encompasses that. We offer the customer a very quick setup process to get on our application. And like any other app, once you're in it, you are in it. You can go right back into it. If you're in a rush, you can order your fruit box because you remembered, hey, I grabbed the last apple out of my fruit box. I better order another one, and then you're going to have that box, at your doorstep before you know it. But for the customer, we make it very simple. It's at your fingertips. It's on your phone. We do have a web-based app. You can be at work, on your workstation. Hopefully your boss doesn't know that you're online shopping for fruit and veggies or a combo box. But we make it very simple. All the nutritional value is going to be, at your fingertips on our menu. And more than anything, the fresh, fast, and safe delivery that we ensure not only on the wholesaler and the product side, but also on our delivery driver side is going to be second to none. And the fact that we can offer the customer the logistics support, the last mile delivery without handing it off to a third party company, without having to go outside of our own network and our own app is going to be a huge savings for the customer. So that is a big highlight for the customer, is that, they are going to get retail quality produce at wholesale pricing delivered to their door. So we're proud to bring that into this space, and we're proud to offer that through our app.
100% agree. This is what's so fantastic about this. It's going to be easy for consumers to get on their phones, because everybody has a phone today and everybody almost has a smartphone. And we want to make sure that they're getting fresh produce. So you're probably thinking to yourself, when's this going to come out and what are we going to do? We're going to keep this fresh, fast, and safe. And I know there's a ton of wholesalers out there that are saying, I'm doing this already. I'm on Shopify. I'm using DoorDash. I'm using them all. Flavor Wave, what are you going to do that's any better? And Michael said this at the beginning. I don't think that we're better than anybody. I think that we're a couple produce guys, and we understand a problem. Mattelio helped us figure out a solution. And what Mike and I want is what we said at the beginning, was to make Flavor Wave bigger than us, bigger than just selling a piece of fruit. Because that's what we do in this industry, is sell fruit. And we're thinking to ourselves, how can we make an impact and create a new vertical that's going to be sustainable for years to come? So we're going to deliver fresh, fast, and safe produce. We're going to keep our deliveries fresh and no contact deliveries. Online payments, all online, to avoid contact, all through Stripe. It's going to be Farm Fresh Direct. You want to know why? Because we're in the process of the business. We're not going to let people sign up for this program that aren't really wholesalers or aren't really have their licenses. And that's what's great about this. You have to upload food safety documents. You have to actually pass food safety regulations tests to be able to be on this app, to know you can deliver directly to a consumer. There's going to be best produce options. We're going to have weekly cooking options in the future, meal inspirations, and all drivers will deliver contactless and wearing masks at all times. So that's what we think is so valuable, is that we're going to take big box trucks off the road, because really they don't need to be in neighborhoods right now. They don't. And I think that if we can help a newer set of a community, which is the produce industry, getting it direct to consumer, that's what's going to be valuable. So guess what? In November of 2020, you'll be able to download this, not just one app, not just two, but 3, and come on board with us and talk about how we can help grow the produce industry together. Mike?
November 2020, that's our initial launch. We're going to be servicing the greater Miami, Florida area. We look forward to launching in other cities, well soon after that, and we're excited. We're excited to bring this into the produce space, direct to consumer model. That is, I think, a standalone option. With its structure and the infrastructure we have and the partners that we have, I am excited to continue to update this app as we keep moving past the initial launch of November 2020. So early November, download the app, support this model, and more than anything, keep a lookout. I know I had a question in the chat about the custom boxes. So these are all phases we're going to continue to roll out, and we look forward to bringing new options into the produce industry.
Yeah, so let's take a couple of those questions. Looking at them, I had a couple of questions on the backside too, but let's answer some of those questions to the entire guest, Mike. So these boxes, they're going to be easy as 1, 2, 3. So there's going to be 3 custom boxes. There's going to be a fresh produce box, which is going to be fruit only, a fresh fruit and veg box, and then a fresh veg box only. They're going to range between 20 and 24 pounds, and they will have seasonal items in there to keep it simple for right now. We're going to make sure that all items that we have are stocked. So we appreciate that question. The next question we have was, good question, who's going to deliver? Uber type deliveries or the distribution center? Mike, why don't you take that one?
We'll have our driver network. So it is, I don't want to say Uber or Lyft style of drivers. It's going to be our own independent drivers that are signed up through our app. So it's not a third party coming in. It's someone underneath our umbrella within the app. So it's a Flavor Wave fresh driver. That's, I guess, the most direct answer that we can give. And they're going to go through, their contactless training. They're going to have a mask on, and they're going to be able to pick up these boxes safely, deliver these boxes safely, and all this is done within the Flavor Wave app.
I love it. Okay, and I answered what are the 3 boxes delivered by the driver. Another question, I know, Mike, you did answer it, but if you look at the a la carte mentioned, because there are other apps out there, the question is, will there be an a la carte menu? What about staple items that you see every day in produce departments?
Yeah, so the a la cartes come in at a later phase of this app. Staple items will be determined, as we kind of do market analysis, data analysis, much like what we heard about earlier in the call. So we'll make those determinations as time goes, and this pilot keeps going. So interesting, good question, interesting question, and I'm sure one thing I did want to point out as far as the driver kind of logistics freight portion was FedEx announced January 4th, and a lot of the services that we are seeing on the computer applications or computer ordering websites utilize FedEx, UPS, etc. I think with the increased demand due to COVID and online shopping, we're going to see those rates go through the roof. So I think that we are pretty immune to that, so we'll be able to keep our logistics rates pretty well controlled versus competing with some of these rates for these third-party logistic delivery companies.
That's a really great point, because a lot of these other apps that are out there are using FedEx and UPS to ship their products, and that's important because for a very long time the USPS, UPS, and FedEx have traditionally given great rates. I know Jehoon on the call has worked with myself shipping products such as toenail fungus solution and other podiatry products overseas, and our contract was UPS at the time, and this was back in 2005, everyone. And I remember the rates that we would get, and I wondered sometimes, how are they making it happen? How did they do it? And I would look at these rates, and they would be great for us and great from the customers, but how did they make that happen? So it's a perfect point too, Mike, of that comment of the rates going up, because I see that. One question I had behind the scenes for Matt DeBoer at Ag Tools. Matt, they asked, Patrick mentioned that there's over 100 different resources. Can you explain that? Matt, can you give us like a little 30-second summary? I knew someone was going to ask that question when we talked about your resources.
Sure, in regards to where we're getting the data?
Correct.
Yeah. So we pull from multiple sources throughout. So, if it's coming across the board, if it's scanned in, we're getting the data. There's Department of Defense, NASA, there's Homeland Security, believe it or not. Obviously, multiple resources that we get throughout. Anything that touches produce is, comes into our system. And then we have, since it comes into our system, we have the ability to clean it, make sure it's reportable, make sure it is what it's supposed to be, and then send it out to the people that are using our software.
Perfect. I think that answered the question. If it didn't, please let me know. And actually, Matt has his contact information in there. So I suggest please reach out to Matt at Ag Tools. Again, I know they're a great partner of the Produce Industry Podcast, but they are providing a great service to the industry and helping you forecast a lot more, because again, not leaving the house, not going certain places, not being able to have those in-person meetings. Some of these data and analytics will help you with your business and help you get a little bit more experience that you should have got in those travels or going to those shows or being in the field, right? Because a lot of that's not happening today. So Matt, really appreciate that. Another question I have for Jehoon Kim. Jehoon, it's the obvious question, but they said, when are you going to be getting into produce? And do you ship produce to Singapore now?
Right now, no, actually. Only the ones that are already processed and sealed tight bags with the UPC barcode. Those products, obviously, yeah, like the dried goods and even some of the frozen stuff. But the fresh, no, we're still waiting on some regulations. And I know most of you guys that are in the produce industry know about the phytosanitary certificate. That's the biggest hurdle that we're waiting on for them to work out. And then we're there. The Department of Commerce and I've been working on it together, and we've gotten the CBP involved too, obviously for the inbound stuff. So we're expecting some kind of results to come out by the end of the year, and then by the new year, they're going to have a specific guidelines set. And the target as of right now is from about 3 years from now, like 2023, they want to be live for sure.
Wow. So 2023, Q Express and Q10, who are already in this market and shipping billions of dollars of, I would say, not commodities, but products over to other countries now, are looking to get into produce. So as you can see, everyone, there's a lot of different companies that are looking to get into this space. And that brings us back to Metellio as well. Metellio put their information in the chat box. If you're looking to get your business to the next level in any ways, it could be anything from just starting an app or a problem or a blog, something that can be on an app, something that can help with your business. I've seen inspection apps that have been created now. I just watched a webinar yesterday with Clarifru, an inspection quality control app. So there's things to help really revolutionize your business, like even Michael and myself are seeing. So Metellio, thank you as well for putting your contact information for people to reach out to you. Jehoon as well. There was a question about the numbers in one of your slides, just about the numbers. It looks like it was trending down on the red. And then some of the bars were going up. I'm not going to bring that slide up, but I believe that was showing the trend of online sales going up in billions, I believe.
Well, the reason that shows a downtrend is the increase in percentage. When you calculate percentage and you're basing everything, so it's kind of like this. So it's 1 million turning to 2 million would be a 100% increase, right? But then from 2 million to 3 million, even though the amount is the same as 1 million, the percentage of increase, now you're basing it off of 2 million, so that's technically only a 50% increase. That's why you see a downtrend in the percentage of increases, but the money value itself has a significance. So you don't want to pay attention too much to the percentage. You want to look at the actual value.
Perfect. If that did not answer the question, please reach out to Jehoon and he will let you know. All right, let me see. Just want to run through this real quick. When will the app be downloaded? Okay, it's November 2020. We are going to be launching it. It's in its at Metellio. Per Paul, can you let the audience know and our listeners know about the regression testing and what it takes once the app's done? Just a quick comment to show why it's going to be at 2 more weeks.
Yeah, so we have. So we are in. Oh, go ahead, Paul. I was just going to say, so we're in a QA phase. There's a QA function that we have as part of our development team, and they are going through the testing so that we know how it responds under different conditions and how it responds when it's all together. And there's the interaction going on among the various modules. So that's what's taking a little bit more time.
Perfect. So we will be out in a couple of weeks. We're just going through bug testing right now. We're going to make sure that when it hits the market and you go to press an order, it doesn't just block you out of the app and shut it down and make you sign up again. So These are things, again, just like in produce, we're doing quality control checks all the way around. And this is what Metellio has even brought to our attention. We might try to rush it 2 weeks ahead, but then they said, wait a minute, we want to do a quality check after every single sprint test. Just like you would do if you're selling produce, just like if you were washing, bringing the trucks in. And it was so relevant to us in our business. So Metellio, thank you. If there are any other questions about Metellio, again, please reach out and talk to Metellio. So Paul, I appreciate that as well. Now I don't see any other questions. I know a lot of them were answered in the chat. And our goal was to bring you something that is new, innovative, and creative. And that's something we feel we're doing, and we're here to bring it for the produce industry. So I'm going to open it up real quick. We are at the end of our presentation. If anybody wants to just jump on and have any direct questions or say hello, we are done. And thank you so much. Michael, do you have any other comments?
I mean, it takes people definitely much smarter than myself. I'm a very small cog in this wheel, I think, with the produce knowledge, but thank everyone, the data analytics, everything that comes into play with this app. I think this can be something very large in our industry. We're just ushering it along, and we want to do it the correct way. But, I appreciate everyone's time today. Thank you very much.